this anime has influenced me in another way because I got one of these
You
babies.
got a bar spoon?
I got a bar spoon.
Yeah, I started off like, oh, what is this shopping beach episode? And then by the end of it, like, I am welling up in tears.
Yeah. Hi, hello, this is Jules the Human here, and welcome to the Jules and Matt Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, Jules the Human, and every week we go out into the world and watch a little bit of anime, and then we come back here and talk about it. And today we're talking about episode 5 through 8 of Bartender Glass of God. We've been going down this road, learning about drinks and talking about some really interesting stories so far. We're going to get into episode 5 through 8, and then next week is the last time we're going to talk about it. We're going to finish up the entire first season, and then next week we're going to pick a brand new anime. We have so many anime in there in the anime chest. We pick them randomly in a way that you can get your anime put into the chest to be picked out in the future. A $5 super chat on YouTube or 500 bits on Twitch. So either one of those, that goes to both me and Matt, and you can put your anime here, and then it gets rated. So Bartender Glass of God next week will be put up here through S through F. I don't know where it's going to land. We'll see next week. But I do not go on these anime journeys alone. I go with my co-host, Matt Galley. Matt, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing really well. Like I was just telling you before the show started here, went to Halloween Horror Nights last week. I saw Beetlejuice 2 last week. Then this week so far have just been gaming. Helldivers just got a really big patch, been diving again.
Sheesh.
Can't play Space Marine 2 yet. And then finally hopped into Deadlock, and that's been surprisingly really fun to play. I don't gravitate to MOBAs, but this one's just like really entertaining so far. Only 2 matches in though, 2 matches deep. Not enough time to really judge a MOBA, but you know how it is. It's fun. It's got movement. Shoot, bang, bang.
Cool.
Yeah.
But you were also telling me before the show that this anime has like invigorated that bartender in you as well, because we talked about it before. Matt, you are currently a bartender, and this is a show about bartending, and you were saying how this invigorated, and this also has had an impact on me too. This weekend we went to go to a nice cool little speakeasy sort of jazz place, and we watched some jazz music, and that's where we had some drinks. And I was like looking at the drink menu. I was like looking at specifically what was in the drinks, and I had my gimlet, and then like the offshoot of the gimlet, I'm like, okay, I can taste the difference, and I'm trying to appreciate it more. And that's really what's brought, or the show has brought out and brought to me, is me trying to appreciate the different textures or the different things in drinks, which is kind of cool.
Everything's intentional. Every single ingredient is working towards the sum of that cocktail. And yeah, when I say that it reinvigorates me, it's just kind of like and then I also mentioned, like, I felt like my glass was full, my bartending glass, no pun intended. I felt like it was full, but there was still room in that glass, and that's just where I think you get Sasakura with the anecdotes and like the always having the right thing to say in a certain given situation. Is just that, like, there is more to bartending than just like making a good drink. Like, that is an expectation, but that is not everything that kind of like comes together on it. And I definitely don't want to get too heavy too early, but like, yeah, there's just a situation this week where like I just tried to handle something with a lighter hand and some kind words to soften a situation instead of immediately assuming the worst out of somebody, because like he said in the last set of episodes, I see it that you chose to rely on me in a moment of weakness that you had to help make your day better or whatever. And I did have like some like a party where it was just like this group of people, the vibes were a little off, but I was just trying to keep things upbeat, keep everything nice, and they just were talking about how appreciative they were. And then on the way out, the one person paying the tab was just like, hey, sorry if we were like a little rough at first, like we're all coming in because we just this morning had a passing in our family. It's like, boom, there it is. Like, and I felt it, and it's okay. And that's it. Dang. What did I choose to tell her? It's okay. I choose to think that you guys relied on me in your moment of weakness.
Literally.
Boom. Like, already
It's
Just so
happening.
that's what I mean when I just say that it gave me some reinvigoration. It's just like, it's when you work in service, it is really easy to just assume the worst out of people all the time. It's really easy to get that way. And sometimes we all just need a little reminder that like people inherently most of the time, I'm not going to overgeneralize, say never, but most of the time, people aren't out looking for a bad time, looking to start a fight or anything like that. Sometimes it might just be a little crass, a little rough around the edges, but if you're working in service, especially as a bartender, yeah, it should be your prerogative to turn that around for that person.
Mm-hmm. And what did they say at the end of all the episodes? Did you leave happier, a
A
little bit
little
happier
happier than
since
when you came in.
walking
Yeah,
through the door? Yeah. So
it's not right there.
that's what bartending is, and I learned. But that can apply to all service industry, like you're saying. I've
Yeah.
definitely worked face to face with
It's just
people.
also we also get the quote, in I think the second episode that we'll talk about, working in a bar requires you to have a perfection of all things that the service industry requires. That's
Mm-hmm.
true. Like it's all parts of everything wrapped into like one thing where if any one of those little parts are lacking, it's really going to show out versus somewhere that isn't going to be like a fine, not fine, like dining place, but like a cocktail bar for sure.
Mm-hmm. Let's get into it. Bartender, Glass of God, episode 5, the first drop. What happens in episode 5?
Sasakura, Yuri, Kyoko, Miwa, and Kelvin all take a trip to Yamazaki Japanese Whiskey Distillery, where they find themselves expanding their knowledge of the whiskey crafting process and also gaining some insights into themselves. We see this isn't the first time Kelvin has been in the area, as he explains his past regrets to Sasakura and Miwa, with Sasakura commenting it's exactly his mindset and willingness to explore his regrets that make him the person that he is today.
Yes. Coming off of
Tastes good.
the
Looks
other
good. No
episodes,
complaints.
coming off the
Get
other,
that one in there.
like in episode 5 and 6, I gotta say, I don't know if I liked them as much because of what we get in episode 7 and 8. Episode 5 and 6, talk to them in a pair because, like, we've had this in other anime where they set us up to be like, all right, we're looking for the glass of God, we're hiring this bartender, we're doing this thing, and that's our goal. We're gonna get Sasakura to become the bartender and say yes to being the Hotel Cardinal's bartender. And then we go on this trip, and it's just like, this is cool. It's kind of like a shopping episode, these two, but putting them two together, I was like,
The Kelvin saga.
I was fine where it ends off in the last two, but we get the whole I call him Chen. I wrote down Chen a lot, but Kelvin, yes, Kelvin Chen. Um, they go to this distillery, and then in episode 6 we get the whole being married or trying to get married situation thing, and I love it for the characters. I love these guys. I love these little bartenders just being little silly. They're not over the top. They go to the Yamazaki distillery. The chairman gave them tickets, and apparently it's the oldest Japanese malt whiskey distillery, and we get some education on whiskey, and I didn't know some of that stuff, so it's kind of cool to learn about stuff. I'm sure if you are a bartender, that's pretty, like, really cool. But I was like, okay, I drink a lot of whiskey, didn't know any of this stuff. And they go into it. Chen, who is the new character that we see, is mentored by Mr. Perfect, and they talk about whiskey, but they also talk about serving whiskey and how it's many memories of the past. And with that, that sort of leads into the whole Chen saga, with him having an amulet for a festival that represents true love, possibly. We get a flashback to 12 years ago. How did you feel about them introducing this character, and then we get sort of this story here about
Mhm.
how he's the heir to the
Initially,
Singapore
yeah.
hotel, and then Chitose is this wrong one, but Chitose is the girl that he was with when he was back there before.
initially I'm definitely apprehensive to, again, like you said, it feels very shopping episode at first. And like, oh, we're just kind of like out at this new spot, just kind of like we're just walking through this cellar looking at the kegs. Kelvin's just standing around, and it's like it doesn't really show its hand at first, but I like where it goes where like you get the tour guide asking them to can you show us something, like I want to learn something from you guys, and because normally we just have people make a highball, but maybe you could do something cool. And then everybody's like, oh, Kelvin, go for it, and then he makes a highball. And it's just like I liked that moment, because that's just like it is very the you don't have a passion for this. You're willing to do what is expected of you in that position, and nothing more, nothing less, because you don't really you haven't broken down that barrier and built that connection to like Sasakura has explained in the past, like the imagination that it takes as
Mm-hmm.
you're creating every drink you're
Mm-hmm.
making. Your imagination should be working in tandem to kind of like give yourself an idea of what it exactly is that you're making at that given moment. Like, am I shaking this cocktail for too long? Is it going to come out too frothy? Is it going to not be frothy enough? Am I stirring this cocktail for too long? Does the mixing glass seem like it's cold enough? Does the ice seem like it's diluting too fast and not cooling the drink fast enough? Like, there's all these things that you should be constantly taking into consideration. So I feel like that moment right there, it just shows that like he's not there with them.
Mm-hmm.
He is like, and it's obviously it's at first kind of shown by the way that he's just apprehensive to make any conversation. It's just he's just giving yes and no type answers, won't really chat it up and talk to them.
And he didn't
But
really
then
care about like the ingredients of the whiskey, really. He's
yeah,
just like,
he's like,
okay.
this isn't something I'm going to serve to people. And then Sasakura has to be the one that's like, hey, it doesn't hurt to just know what it tastes like, right? Then you have your opinion. And that's like, there was one point where like I was very, that was me. I was very like, I don't think I'm going to like that. I don't think I'll really tell people that they'd want to drink it. And then eventually somebody was just like, but you should just know for your own opinion, right? You should just know if you don't. You should just know if you do. And then it was just like, yeah, you're right. Like that
And
doesn't hurt.
yeah, definitely. Claire says, I liked it. The show is all small stories. This small group of people who leave an imprint on the bar. I think that is its charm.
Yes. So
Claire likes this
that's
anime. Let's
so
go.
you have
Endorsement.
Sasakura kind of like opening this guy up, and then you see why he's so shut down and apprehensive, and it's because of his father, who's always just expected him to walk this line and do this thing, but he never really got to make that decision for himself. But Sasakura, being the person that he is able to say the right things and approach Kelvin with the right mindset to kind of make him realize that this is something that he could actually really care about.
And I really related to Chen a whole lot in this episode. And my dislike, or what I said earlier, was about them building this whole, we got to find the bartender for Hotel Cardinal, and then going to this other place to, do this other thing. And I was like, okay. But then when they introduced Chen, like you were saying, the imagination to be a bartender and pick a drink or try something new, or like, oh, there's another whiskey I haven't seen before. Let me try to use that in some weird way. Like, I related to Chen a lot. One, because like my father was a musician, and it was always just expected that I was going to be a musician as well. It was just like, yeah, you're going to band. Oh, okay. You're going to be a musician. What instrument are you going to play? And it wasn't a question. It was like, which one are you going to play? And I didn't have that imagination all the way through college, where I wouldn't want to play my own stuff. Like I only wanted to play what's on the sheet of music. Like I didn't want to like try things, because I didn't have that, drive to create or do something. I'm like, I'm going to do what I'm told, because that's what I'm supposed to do. So I like, it's super relatable for me, for Chen, in this other
Mhm.
situation. And to see that, like you're saying with the highball, I was like, yeah, like I'm going to do the thing. And until after college, I was like, oh yeah, I do have that passion. I found something I loved in a genre of music I loved. So it was like really cool to see that character and relate to him a whole lot.
And then
Um,
I know we got to move on here, but I
mhm.
do want to also say that like the other like so again, I was really apprehensive, and then that part makes me turn around to it, and then the way the show is able to like just take its hand and give me a little like love tap against my head, like, come on, you knew we were going somewhere with this, and tie back the whole idea that Kelvin and like whiskey are on a parallel where whiskey like is the collection of memories over all of this time, and it is that collection that builds its flavor and makes it what it is, and that's what Kelvin is. All of those experiences, all of those past regrets and what ifs and have nots and could be's, those are what have crafted him into exactly who the person that he is right there in that moment. And now Sasakura is being the drop of water that it took to open him up to everything else.
And it just
Like,
tastes
and
so
then
much
I'm
better.
just like, I'm in, oh my God. So like, yeah, I started off like, oh, what is this shopping beach episode? And then by the end of it, like I am welling up in tears.
Yeah, it's so good. Claire says, I don't know why you're surprised. I just expect excellence in all things. True. This anime is going pretty well. Back in the flashback with Chitose, who's the girl, Chen says that he'll destroy the tracks his parents have laid out for him, and they're both ending up winners together. And he didn't go with her to the festival, and then never saw her again. Chitose gave the amulet there. He broke his promise, and that's his story. That's his, whiskey story moment there. And he has to bring that to whatever he does. And he wants to be a bartender. Bring that. Bring whatever that is. And we also got some silly shots of these two cuties just drinking a bunch. I have a question as well. They spend their time drinking so much. When I went to the bar, when we went out, each drink was like
That's
$15
why
to
that's
$20.
why the guy, the business planning commission, they're like, so that's why they had like, hey, we have to bug him for a budget to go out to have drinks to see if this is the bar, these are the bartenders you
Yeah.
want, stuff. You're like, yeah, it's expensive. And they even say
Yeah.
at one point, they're like, yeah, we were out pretty late, right? We stopped at this place, then that place, then that place, then this place. They like list off like 7 actual, like I didn't Google them, but I'm assuming they're actual places in that region because
Yeah.
I didn't Google this either, but I'm assuming that's Yamazaki Japanese whiskey is a real life location, real life thing.
Mhm.
We don't have any Japanese whiskey where I work. We are an Irish pub. We are very whiskey dominant, but it's mostly Kentucky bourbon and like Scotch or Irish
Mhm.
whiskey. So don't work with Japanese whiskey, but
They are expensive. That's what I was like. After I went out, I was like, how are they going to all these places? Like they're just drinking at least one or two, right? To
yeah,
check out the menu. So they have to do one or two at each place. That's insane.
probably yeah, $14 to $17 per drink, probably.
That's a lot. Episode 6, The True Face. What happens in episode 6?
Yuri announces that she will be getting married before we are introduced to Hayase, an armchair executive that feels stressed out because of work, seeking asylum at Eden Hall. Hayase snaps and breaks the cigar of another guest out of frustration before coming back the next day looking to apologize. Sasakura shares insights with Hayase that see him, coming back looking to apologize to the other patron day after day. Yukari visits Eden Hall for a drink and is given a brandy Alexander, Sasakura sharing a story behind the drink. Hayase comes back with a box of cigars to apologize properly to Kimishima as they decide to smoke them together. Sasakura shares another story to Yukari that has her decide not to get married because it was to satisfy someone other than herself. Ayase and Kimishima plan a date after they smoke their last cigars.
So again, at the start of this episode, Yukari is like, I'm getting married. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on. What's going on? Claire says, I believe so. I recognize them from the Yakuza series, and all the alcohol and just about everything else in the game is sponsored. So those are real, most likely, alcoholic beverages in Japan that are native to Japan. But we start the episode and I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? Like, you caught me at the end. you caught me there at the end of episode 5. I'm like, you got it with the drop of the water. And he's like, oh, it makes it so much better. And I was like, great, cool. At the beginning, I was like, what are we doing? At the beginning of this episode, I'm like, what are we doing? How are we getting around this? But we get the thing that I said I wanted. I wanted Eden Hall to just be the characters that walk in, and I want to see him handle these situations. So we have a businessman that we see a little bit beforehand that walks into Eden Hall, Hayase. He orders a bamboo and he takes the girl's cigarette. This was kind of wild.
Yeah, I was, my
How
jaw was
far?
open.
Yeah. It felt like he was gonna hit her. I was
Yeah,
like,
it
hold
did.
on, are we doing this? But
Especially,
he
yeah,
just,
because they only think about themselves is like the you're not talking about like girls, right? Like, who do you
yeah.
mean by they? Or do you mean people who are smoking in a bar?
Yeah.
Like, who are we talking about? Because we see him handle like a moment with an employee earlier, and he gets all frustrated at them. Implication is that he took the fall for something that they did, but then out of earshot, you can hear them like complaining and gossiping that like he's frustrated over there. I apologized. Why is he upset?
And he
Anyway,
just Arthur Fist
yeah, he
right there by
Arthur
himself.
fists and snatches the cigar and snaps it with his thumb, and the shot of Sasakura. I'm like, what is he about to do? Because he like his fists were balled up, and I'm sure that's just him at rest. But to me, it looked like he was like getting ready to like,
Throw him out, bud.
yeah. I was like, what's about to happen?
Mm-hmm.
But he pays, and he's like, I'm sorry, that should cover it, and he just takes off.
Mm-hmm. Claire says it makes me wonder if this anime is sponsored too, and they say yes, sponsored by Suntory. Oh, cool. So they actually have like, interesting, very cool. He comes the next day. The Hayase comes the next day to try and apologize. And what's his name? Oh, where did Sasakura tells the tale of the other guest being a doctor unable to save a child, and then we get the interwoven, like, it feels like what's the show, Cheers or something, where they're all just hanging out, like the rotating cast in a bar. Is that what it is? Cheers. Yeah. Because then we get the Yukari story of her getting married, getting served the Alexander. Hayase keeps coming back every day to try and give the cigars to the girl, and it ends up being a really cute love story. Well, I don't know love, but like a really cute story of friendship there, because we don't see them smoking the cigars really. They do say by the end that they can be there and burn them together. But we see them, it's really nice. We see the I don't know what is it called? Not the lesson, not the lesson of the anime, not the lesson of the show. The moral implications of the show, that everything in life has two different faces, that you don't know.
That was so, yeah, comedy, tragedy, then the suite of everything else that he lists off is just like beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Cosmo says that the Pappy Jules and Zaddy Galley. Jules, you cut your hair? I did finally. It's all gone. I feel so much better in the Texas heat. But yeah, everything has two different faces, and Yukari was just kind of trying to please her grandmother because she's ill, and she always wanted her to see her in a wedding dress, but she cancels the wedding.
Because this drink is strong and sweet, just like the drink is strong and sweet, just like her dreams for marriage. Very strong, very sweet. So it's not something that she should rush into.
How is he coming up with these things?
That's what I mean. Like
how do you have all that
the
knowledge?
way the show is able, because like he talks about it. One of the other bartenders talks about it. There's always a story behind the drink, and the way the show is able to tie the stories of the drinks, or even the cigars. How the cigar box was. He's like, oh, it's used to be used by lovers to trade love letters, and in like Russia during such and such or something, that was used to trade documents. He's got all these things, all of these anecdotes, and the way the show is able to tie like the anecdotes of these real world things into the like arc of the episode and the story that they are tied to as well, it just pulls it off in a way that's so effortless that yeah, like at the start of the episodes I feel like this like oh, what are we doing? Yeah, like we're getting married now, okay. And which felt I still feel like felt out of place in the
Yeah.
other anime that we watched where like somebody got married really quickly out of nowhere in like the third or fourth episode. The fighting one that we just watched, I'm forgetting the name, but the character not Tower of God, God of High School.
God of High
The
School.
girl got like all of a sudden she's
I think
getting
she got
married. And
yeah,
that
she got
still
married like in
felt out of
episode
place
3.
to me. But like this one, all of a sudden we're getting married, but it managed to tie itself back in where I'm like, yeah, that was great. I'm very glad the show decided to do that.
What came first, the drink? Did they say what drinks have like really cool stories, like getting really meta about it? Did
Yeah.
they say like which drinks have really cool stories? And it's like, boop, okay, episode 6, we got this drink. How can we or
Is
did
it like
the
that, or was it did we plan the stories first and then like, hey, what drink can we find to tie into this, and then maybe like tweak things a little bit to make it fit. But I like how it's like, like we get to see the drinks with the stories, and then it takes the the whiskey distilling center and kind of does it in a same way but a different way where it manages to tie everything back in. So it's like it's keeping me on my toes in how it's like choosing to present every like the story behind every episode, I guess. And it doesn't feel cookie cutter. And like other than that, like the show doesn't like it doesn't have a lot of visually like the drinks look great, the characters look cool when they're making cocktails, the animation is really smooth and stuff, but it's not gonna wow you with super high amounts of effects or anything like that. This show is all in the dialogue. If you can appreciate good conversation between characters and the way that Sasakura is able to approach these situations with such grace, always having the right thing to say. I don't know how much is going to be there for somebody, but if you can appreciate that, then this show I feel like is just checking all the boxes in what it knows what it wants to be and what it wants to do. It's not trying to do anything more than that.
I think that's one of the things that would hold it back from being a fantastic anime. I really like what you're saying, but also I can hear you where a lot of the stuff that's going on while the dialogue is happening is just still shots, but the motion is happening over the still shots. And it was sort of bothering me by episode 8, where I'm just like, okay, we're doing still shots. And then sometimes it would just do music. And I'm just like, okay, is this animation like what is it's all just focused in usually with a character's face, dialogue, character, dialogue, and then moving pictures. And I'm like, man, I mean, I don't want it, but for it to like exceed and excel above, I think it could have just been more animation somehow. It doesn't have to be silly, but it did start to bother me towards episode 8 because I'm just like, this is just a still shot with the pan to something
with
and
like and then like the still shots with one or two characters in frame, and then every once in a while you get like a dynamic different shot, like when Hayase comes behind the bar and it does like the shot behind the bar that we only get in that one moment, and it's showing him like talk about all the different examples of like, hey, these are all the different like fake faces I see every day. Two coworkers trying to have a drink with each other, but you can tell they do not like each other. A couple arguing and they're bickering with each other, but you can tell that within all that they're looking for the way to forgive each other and get over it. Like all of these different, like there you get certain shots like that keep it at least not 100% still shots of characters talking. The shots of the drinks being made, a few different shots where
a lot of bubbles.
You get the silhouette of like of an example of a situation, but those example situation bubbles. But other than that, yeah, it's not gonna be doing anything in the animation department to really push the narrative beyond what the
Dialogue is
dialogue
doing.
is providing. Yes, exactly.
Claire says, I quite like the culture of these bars too. I'm not sure which episode it is that he mentions that he wouldn't allow a guy to send a girl a drink. At the start, they talk about suggesting avoiding a strong drink on an empty stomach. Yeah, very
Yes,
cool. And
that was
that's
one of
what
my
they're,
favorite parts.
yeah, what they're definitely teaching, how to read people and how to uh, be better than, I guess, the normal bartender you would run in for uh, America, at least in San Antonio. I feel like these bartenders don't think about their job in this way. Most, I would say, the majority of them. Yeah, I go to a bar like that. I can't say that for anywhere I've been.
It's and we're about to get into that in the next episode.
Episode 7, a bartender's resolve. What happens in episode 7?
The planning commission at Hotel Cardinal approached Sasakura to ask for help in crafting their welcome drink menu. Kelvin arrives at Eden Hall asking for a job as his father is looking to fly him home to Singapore against his wishes. Sasakura gets him a job and upon his father's arrival is unimpressed with Kelvin's hospitality skills. Later on at Chef's Bar, Sasakura discusses the meaning of hospitality at its core and Kelvin finds himself taken aback. A second attempt to impress his father seems to go better. However, he remains steadfast that Kelvin will be flying home to Singapore.
Ugh. I hate this, man. No. They also talk in this episode, they sort of started off by talking about and reinforcing the idea that the hotel bar is the first impression of the country, of what travelers see and the hospitality of the people. So that's like putting a lot of weight for the audience to know, like, we can't just have anybody and this welcome drink that we're going to serve. And they also pulled Judy and Leslie for opinions about this stuff.
Yes.
But this drink that we want to give everybody when they come in to show the hospitality, be inviting, and give them a little taste of the culture that they are hopefully staying in for a day or two or however they're there.
Yes. And
So
I forgot to mention that part as well with Sasakura presenting them with the drink menu, and it's like everybody's kind of like these are yummy, but Sasakura seems off, and him being like, I can't really create a good drink menu for people that I don't have sitting in front of me, because that's my thing. I craft the perfect drink to soothe the person that's sitting in front of me at my bar.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they do ask Sasakura to come up with the Hotel Cardinal menu, and Chan was forced to quit in his previous place, and he asked to work at Eden Hall. So I'm like, hell yeah, we got our boys here. Let's fucking go. He asked for the Yamazaki whiskey to drink with a drop of water, the callback to earlier. And then we get some more information about Chen. Who Chen is, about his brother who was supposed to take over the hotel for his father. An incident happens, and now his father has one heir to the hotel, and he just doesn't want to do it. But he wants his father to acknowledge his bartending abilities. So he orders a Singapore sling, which I've never heard of either.
I haven't heard of that one.
His father says he still knows nothing about service because he uses the raffle style for the drink. What are these things? The raffle style, and then the other style. Oh, I didn't write it down.
I mean, it's just like you have a base drink, like, it's the same difference as, like, not exactly the same, but very easy minimum parallel would be like frozen margarita on the rocks or frozen margarita or a margarita on the rocks.
Margarita
like 3
on
different
the rocks.
styles.
I also got to ask, I remember this anime has influenced me in another way because I got one of these, baby.
You got a bar spoon?
I got a bar spoon to stir in my my protein drink.
Oh, hell yeah,
it's
brother.
a tall. So I was like, oh, I see them like do the little swishy. I'm like, oh, that could be good. I was like, hell yeah. Does
Can I
this
get
have a
protein
significance?
shake? Stirred, not
Yes,
shaken.
stirred ice, please. So does all these little does it have to be rigid like this? And it has I like the little
Yeah,
weight here, so I
that's
got
the rigidness of it is to kind of like, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's to get like make it easy as you rest it between like your hands to be able to stir the way that you're supposed to like stir whiskey in a glass as you're chilling it. Some people have like there's like a TikTok trend of stuff, and it's just like, oh look, if you like do this and like pour the thing against it, it'll like
I saw that.
stream that. And it's like, no, I don't. I'm pretty sure that's not a thing.
Oh
That's not.
man.
That's just a byproduct. It's like you can just take that and just pour it in the glass.
Mhm.
You can take the back of the bar spoon, and if you pour a liquid over another liquid that is like
I think I saw
has
it in the show.
yeah, it's floating. So if you take like a syrup and you pour a syrup over like a soda, it'll stream through the drink and end up at the bottom instead of like mixing in.
Oh, that's cool.
That's why that's what that technique's for. So you can like layer
Nice.
they you can layer drinks of different with different ingredients of different density that way. That's what it's for.
Cool. We have a lot of plates in the air right now because we get the Chen storyline, his whole arc with his dad. We have Sasakura maybe being the bartender or helping out the bar in the hotel. And we also still have some of the bartenders that are still prepping for the cocktail contest that's happening.
Mhm.
Sasakura said something really cool about this. You have to have more hidden ice. The concept of having hidden ice to take in art and other different sort of mediums to reflect in your skills. And I thought that was really cool
Yep,
because
bro. My hidden ice bin is huge.
what do you
It's
mean?
a
How to
well.
explain
I'm
that?
just saying, like I have so many different things that I feel like I draw on to try to kind of like inspire my thinking when I'm just trying to like make something. If it's like as far as like drinks, like like I just am constantly looking at other media. Like I'm on platforms doing like research into different drinks depending on what season it is. My roommate's also a bartender. He's lent me a few books. I have a book or two that just like I go through every now and again, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
what if like that, but then like we don't have that, so what if I use that instead of this, and then maybe if I did that it would like kind of look cooler in a presentable way. And it's just like it's a constant process that you are trying to, it's a you know, there like the concept that there's nothing new under the sun. Everything is just an iteration or inspired by something else because we are all just vessels of all of our past experiences.
Definitely. And I mean, I could talk about how like I would take stuff or use different mediums to invoke a certain genre of music that I was trying to play, or like when I was trying to get to podcasting as well, or when I was doing more podcasting, where I would just listen to so many podcasts and so many different voices, and they would like say a certain phrase a certain way, and I'm like, oh. Keep that in my back pocket. Keep that in your head so that it just comes out naturally at some point. Like it's just, I really like that where you have to open up your hidden ice. It's just the stuff that influences you or you know, the culmination of everything that you've seen or done or heard or tried, and then it just comes out in some way out of you. And I think that's really cool.
Good
Um,
bartender needs to be able to see and be seen.
True. Claire says, I'm not really sure I buy the hotel bar being important at all. These types of bars are intimate, unique places to be discovered. Hotels are the opposite of that. They're generic and impersonal. I don't think this type of bar belong in a hotel at all. That was interesting. So I did think about that for sure, where I'm like, I never go to the hotel bar. I
I
never go to
mean,
the hotel bar. I don't
if we're
really care.
talking about a Best Western, like
Yeah,
sure, yeah.
no.
If we're talking about like a place where corporations hold boardroom meetings while they're doing overseas talks to international logistics, blah blah
And
blah
that
blah, blah 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 blah. I can buy it. I don't know anything about that world, and that's why I can buy it.
and that
Like
does
they're
happen
making
a
it seem
lot.
like it's this prestigious, like you know, icon, especially when we get to see Kelvin like show off he's like, have you ever seen this hotel before? And it's like this 2-tower skyscraper looking thing, and they're like, that's one of the most popular hotels in the world, right? And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's my dad's.
Fuck that guy. I hate him so much.
So it's
Yeah.
like I can kind of buy that these guys are like operating in the highest tier of like this type of industry, being the bar industry.
And I also think some of it is the culture as well. Maybe
Yeah,
they
because like that too, where like honestly, like again, I haven't been overseas to stay at hotels overseas, but I'm just pretty sure that that in America, our hotels are just and motels are just not very. They're mostly like, chains. They're mostly larger scale operations, and it's like Hotel Cardinal seems like this, like the chairman's like love project, like this is
sure.
my hotel type deal, and I
Yeah.
want it to be done my way.
And I want the best person for this bar that I haven't opened yet. But I could care less if a hotel has a bar. Who cares? Whatever. I'm probably, if I'm staying in a hotel, I'm probably going out somewhere. I'm probably not going to be staying in the hotel a whole lot. Bro, if the hotel has some fucking unlimited breakfast,
You were gonna say
that's
that.
what I'm looking at. I won't give me a hotel with a badass breakfast buffet.
That
That's all I want.
continental
A
breakfast.
continental. Whenever they give me the key, continental breakfast starts at. I'm there. Hell yeah, 5 stars. Claire says, I believe it's profitable to have a bar in your hotel, but I don't see how a bar of this type could possibly appeal to anything but a very narrow selection of guests. True. I also agree with Matt, where the owner of the bar is like, I don't fucking care. Like I want the glass of God, like
My
for his
way or the
own thing.
highway.
He wants his own thing, and it's like, fuck it. You have the money, I guess. Whatever.
But
Um,
I agree with Claire in the real world like sense of it, but also like I guess like I'm just willing to suspend my disbelief for the sake of like, if that's what's going to be the driving thing for the show, like sure. And then it's like, again, it's like the whole concept that supposed to be the driving thing. Oh, we found the bartender, we want to do it. Oh, he doesn't want to be the guy. And then it's
yeah.
like, so now it's like about all the stories that can come out of the show outside of that. And I'm glad so in that sense, I'm glad the show doesn't constantly focus on like, oh, we're looking for the guy. It's like they did it the first episode, they were looking for the guy, they found the guy, and that's it. And now it gets to be about just about these characters.
It also wouldn't function if it did appeal to a broad selection of guests. Can you imagine with 10 plus people in there? Yeah, we never see really
Oh,
him
Eden
helping
Hall.
out more than 3
Oh
or
yeah,
more
no
than
way.
5.
No way.
Um, so we can be like, it doesn't matter. Like
Even
the chairman wants his own thing.
the hotel, not the hotel, the bar that Kyoko works at, we even see that one has like a few booths. And then the one that Yuri works at, that one kind of has like an open
There's
table
nobody
like
there.
thing.
There's nobody in these
But
bars. How do they stay open?
at Eden Hall, it is like 1 or 2 people in there at any given time for sure.
We got to get going.
Yeah.
Chen's father, Chen gets a second try at wooing his father into not letting him go. Chen's father sees the glass of God. He sees cherry blossoms. They explain all of that about how these are the cherry blossoms that they were supposed to see together as a family, and it was really, really touching. But then Chen's father is like, "Hey, man, that was a perfect drink, dude. I love that. You're great. Your flight leaves tomorrow, bro." It's like, whoa, fuck, dude. Okay. And then we get into episode 8, a challenge. What happens in episode 8?
The planning commission at Hotel Cardinal approached Sasakura to ask for help in deciding who should be the person they hire as their bartender. The chairman insisting that he just wants his opinion in monitoring the cocktail awards. With that upcoming, Yuri, Kelvin, and Kyoko all train hard to perfect their specialty drinks. At the contest, Yuri crushes it. Kyoko panics but recovers. However, Kelvin loses focus and concentration, causing him to slip up, dropping his shaker, knocking over glasses. He finishes with just a single cocktail to present it, and with applause following a few questions from the judge. Yuri would take home the blue ribbon, with Kyoko moving on from her current position and Kelvin returning home to work in the bar in his father's hotel.
They get me every time. By the end of the episode, it's just like just rubbing your eyes a little bit, cutting onions over here. Every episode.
Soft outro starts playing, and I'm just left with my thoughts.
Yeah. They all want Sasakura's help on who to hire the Hotel Cardinal. They want Sasakura to observe the cocktail award finals as who is interesting. Who's the guy? Who's the person? We get some montage of the prep for the cocktail awards. I really like this. It was a little just like building some suspense for it. They get through the semifinals, and Chen was there, and they all make it to the finals. Yuri, Chen, and Kawakami. Chen, let's see. Oh yeah, we get Chen because we thought that he left or he didn't have a decision by the end of last episode. So we find out that Chen didn't go, and he's gonna force his father to see he's a bartender. He sent him the YouTube link, and he's like, "Bro, this is what I'm doing." Yuri makes the Chimugukuru, which is blue, and warmth of friendship. I really like their connections, all of their little connections with their other people, like with their mentors and stuff. I really like these characters doing all that. Kawakami has some performance anxiety, but then sees Minami come to root for her in the crowd, and he's just smiling. He's the only face that matters. It's so good. I love this. She makes the headwind, which is a flavor that has a big kick. And then Chen goes up. Did you audibly gasp like I did?
I audibly gasped, bro.
When he's there and he's like, Sasakura's like, something's a little off, and Chen is like, I've studied everything. I've studied all
the
things.
second he started like, talking about how he was thinking about everything and proving his dad wrong, like I was like, his headspace totally effed up right now. Something's gonna happen. And then he slipped, and then I was like,
he fucking like this.
Like,
I
threw my hands up too. I was like,
like, this is so, like, think about it out of context. A guy dropping his shaker on stage where like it's mostly just still pictures, but I still felt how tense it was. And it's like I don't know how to explain it, where like other anime there's like action and it's like really high everywhere, but then this anime is constantly giving us chill, so it's more in the low space, which isn't bad. It's not saying that low being bad, it's just low, chill, low stakes. Here we are, we're learning things, we're learning about drinks and all that stuff, and then it spikes here, and the spike is him dropping the shaker, and in context it's so meaningful. It's like, oh shit, he's here.
It's everything in that moment.
It's everything. I felt so much. I was like, oh no. I was like, no fucking way he did it. He named his drink the Lion City. He only made one drink, and he put his all into the drink. And Yuri ended up winning. Yeah. Chen is still training at the bar in his father's hotel. I don't know if I like sometimes they just say things in passing, but they're kind of important, especially about Chen. And it's just like, okay, I'm just supposed to follow the conversation without seeing it. I'm cool with that, I guess. Kawakami was chosen to work at Hotel Cardinal, and she has there's just this amazing, I really liked it because they show her as who she was years ago or whatever, and where she become. She's on the other end. She's honed her craft enough to make it to the finals of this, city countrywide thing possibly. And look at her now. And Minami was there for her, and it was just a tear-jerking moment when she asked if because when she asked hey, did I at least make you a little bit happier since walking through the door? And he just says yes. And we know what that means because he said that to her about what that's what the bartender's job is. And what she meant was like throughout this whole time, the whole time of you knowing me, powerful. I love that. I love the ending. How are you at the end of this episode?
I'm in that same place. I mean, yeah, it's like the whole concepts that he's talking about, you know, what a bartender's job really is, how it's not a destination that you're ever going to reach, and how you should always be iterating and and competing against yourself to make a better drink for your customers and provide a better, you know, environment. Just all those things that go into it. Just, you know, obviously really hit home for me. And then the whole idea of Kelvin going back to the hotel that his father's at, like I do agree with you that it's like, oh, it's just that passing line, and if you're not paying attention you miss it. But I do like that outcome for him, because like I feel like it's very real. It's like, you know, you're new to this world. You didn't think that you wanted to be a part of it, and now you do, and you're all like excited, and it's new and it's fresh, and like you're gonna think that you're ready to take it on and do everything. But like just that one slip up, like to me, like shows him a moment of humility where it's like, you know what, I'm not ready. I'm not, and I
But
concede.
but is it, I also have that because like you're saying that he's young. Like, is bartending something that he really wants to get into and is really passionate about, or is it the first thing that he can call his own sort of, and he's sort of good at it? Because I'm feeling on that second one, like whether he's, I mean, yeah, he can be really good at bartending and really learn it and all that stuff later on in years to come. But like, could it be that this is the first thing that came upon him that his dad didn't really have a thumb on, that he could maybe call his own, and it's like, oh, this is enticing, I can learn and do something maybe on my own, and hey, I'm kind of good at this, maybe I'll make this my passion and get super into it. But that could have been anything. So
It
like
could
he
have.
still has
So
to figure it out.
at the end of the day, what does it mean to find your calling?
I don't know. I'm just kind of good at it.
Do you I'm just kind of good at it, like, but like for real, like do you like set out doing something with expectations that every time like this is going to be the thing, or are we all just, you know, or not all, but like, or do you in that context like just pick up a new thing, and if you enjoy it, like should it be something that you decide to take on more of, or should you be skeptical of it and not give yourself the grace that like it could be it, but is it it? And if it is, how do I know if I'm not going to throw myself at it with all the dedication that it requires? So I guess that's just that's why I like that idea where it's like, you know what, I concede that I need to go home, but I like the idea that his father does actually recognize his skills as a bartender, but it's just like, you I'm glad I sent you here. And when he said that at Eden Hall, I feel like he meant there at Eden Hall, not
Yeah,
Japan. Because like now, as my successor, like I can like you will definitely crush this hotel game. Like, because the hotel game requires much less than what a bar requires. So you're
because
gonna crush
he
that hotel game, but that bar game, maybe that's not your thing. But now he has a place where he can come back, and while he's still learning that, like, you know, to take that the reins of that hotel from his dad, he can work in that bar, and maybe if it is his thing, he can work towards showing his father that that's what he really wants to do. And even at the end of the day, own the hotel and then just go work in the bar. Also, I'm just gonna say it now. I'm pretty sure Sasakura owns Eden Hall, and that's why he's not. He's the owner. After the
is
whole,
that
yeah,
your
I'm
thing?
gonna talk to the owner and get you a job. He was working there the next day. That's not how that works. I'm just saying. Sasakura owns Eden Hall. Who else works there? We haven't seen anybody else working there. He's the owner.
Is that your
That's
big
my
prediction
big
for
prediction. Sorry, yeah,
this
I want
next
to just
couple
hop back
episodes,
into
that
that.
he does own Eden Hall?
that's that's gonna, like, he's just like, it's gonna be the big, you know, the big reveal. Why don't you want to come work? You Because they haven't directly asked him, like, you told us you're afraid of heights, but you worked in a bar that like was super high up. We got
So
that, and then they never revisited it.
do you think he did all those other big bar things, traveled the world or whatever, being a top bartender to make enough money to open his own little bar? Or do you think it's because we saw in these 4 episodes as well, he had a mentor, and that was like the first time that we saw a mentor for him with the gray hair and stuff. It's like, oh, who's that guy? They didn't say anything about him. He also knows the owner for Yuri's bar, that he got mentorship a little bit from as well. So, like, is this something like I said, where he got enough money and he's like, I want this little hole in the wall that I can do my own thing for? Or is that it was, some sort of passed down through family lineage, or maybe he's going through the same thing Chen has gone through, where his father really wanted him to take over this bar when he dies and wanted to be his heir. And he was like, no, I don't want to. I'm doing this other thing. And then his dad eventually dies. He's like, oh, fuck, I gotta go get Eden Hall or something. So, like, is it a lineage thing, or is it just him on his own, where he's like, I just want to do my own thing?
I don't think it's a lineage thing. Nothing's really hinted at that, at least from what I can surmise. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was, and the show is just holding out on like one little thing, or there's something that I missed, one little line, because we've seen that, like, oh, you miss a line, you can miss a lot. But I definitely think, yeah, I think it's definitely like he traveled and he saved and he wanted to come back and do this, and fought against the things that people told him that he couldn't do to get there, and got there and is now doing the thing. And that's why he's like, I can't really go work at the hotel. This is my thing. This is my child. For him, probably.
Claire says, I think he's loyal to Eden Hall. I think him working there the next day is just a convenience for pacing. I don't think he owns it. I think he came back looking for something, and Eden Hall took him in. It reminds him of the past. It is just kind of odd. I can get behind that too. It is just kind of odd, like Matt's saying, that he's mentioned the owner a couple of times, and we just haven't seen an owner. At any rate, next week is the last time we're going to be talking about Bartender Glass of God. It has been an interesting experience learning about drinks, learning about ourselves. But the last 4 episodes of season 1, we're going to be talking about them next Wednesday. So episode 9 through 12, watch those before next Wednesday. And I'll be posting a little thing so you could vote on where you put this anime or where you rank it. And those will get put into our rankings and be put on the final rankings for season 2, and it'll be either S through F, one of these. And then next week we're going to pick a brand new anime here from the chest, picked out randomly by Matt. And Claire says, if we're looking to get a drink from Matt, where would we find him? Yeah, there you go.
I wish I could share that without doxing myself.
I should have said that. If you're trying to get a highball from Matt Galley on the internet, where can they find you?
My YouTube's going to be Matt_Galley, or you can follow me on my Instagram at it's Matt_Galley. Maybe don't follow me on Twitter. That platform's just, I don't know what's going on over there. We need some quality control. I'm going to slam my gavel. And Jules, when everybody is trying to ask you how you are enjoying your drinks, where can the people find you?
Find me on YouTube channel, youtube.com/JulesTheHuman, JULES the human, on all social media. On Instagram, I've been posting my stuff on Instagram a whole lot, wrestling stuff on Twitter and all that. Haven't been streaming, been working out, lost some pounds, pretty cool.
Yeah, you're like on 30 days of like nonstop.
Yeah, like 30 something and calorie deficit. And I just weighed myself at the doctor the other day and I lost 6 pounds already.
Dang.
So we're doing it. Claire says, let's be honest, no one wants poisoning by Jules. What do you mean? Just
one small change is the difference between medicine or poison.
It's gonna be like, we're gonna put 2 ounces of alcohol,
2 shots of vodka.
Yeah, 2 shots of vodka. Bro, do you want a drink, or do you want to get fucked up? You want to get, that's the point. We're drinking to go crazy.
A good drink tastes good and gets you fucked up.
Nah, fuck that. Anyways, watch episode 9 through 12, Bartender Glass of God, by next week, and we'll see you next time. It's trust. I trust Matt to make me a cocktail. I would too. I would like to try a Matt cocktail, or I can make you one. I can make one.
Matt Galley classic. I'll post the recipe in the Discord of my favorite cocktail.
Ooh,
you guys can
that's
make it at
good.
home yourself.
Ooh, I got the spoon. All right. That's been the Anime Hour. See you next week. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.